In every age, people have asked the same questions. What is the good life? How should we treat one another? What does it mean to be free or virtuous or just? What does it mean to be human? Western moral philosophy for beginners and Selenius Media takes you on a guided journey through the minds that shaped the moral backbone of the West, from the earliest Greek thinkers to the modern age. Lived stories of struggle, ambition, conflict, revelation, all unfolding against the sweep of history. If you've ever wanted to understand philosophy clearly, calmly, and humanly, if you want to know not just what these thinkers argued, but why it mattered, follow Western moral philosophy for beginners today and explore 10 more podcasts at Selenius Media. Marcus Aurelius, both an emperor of Rome and a philosopher, is a figure who embodies the intersection of power and introspection. Living in the 2nd century CE, during a time when the Roman Empire reached its zenith, he is primarily remembered today for his writings, specifically his collection of personal reflections known as the Meditations. This work captures the essence of his Stoic philosophy, which serves as a guide for personal ethics and understanding human nature. One of the fundamental principles that Marcus Aurelius espouses in his Meditations is the notion of rationality and the importance of aligning one's life with nature. He believed that the universe is organized according to rational principles, and that human beings, being a part of this universe, should strive to live in accordance with reason. For Marcus, the power of reason allows individuals to transcend their base emotions and desires, leading to a life of virtue. This calls into question the way we approach our daily lives and decisions, inviting us to filter our actions through a lens of rational thought rather than emotional reactions. A key argument he presents is the idea that we have control over our perceptions and reactions to events, whereas external circumstances often remain outside our influence. According to Marcus, troubles arise not from events themselves, but from our judgments about those events. This central tenet of Stoicism emphasizes personal agency in a world full of unpredictability. For example, in our modern workplaces, challenges such as conflict with colleagues, high-stress situations, or even job insecurity can provoke anxiety. By applying Marcus's views, one could approach these dilemmas with a mindset focused on maintaining composure and evaluating situations objectively, rather than succumbing to stress or frustration. Another pivotal concept in Marcus's thought is the interconnectedness of human beings. He urges his readers to recognize the shared nature of humanity, cultivating empathy and compassion towards others. This perspective gently nudges individuals toward the realization that one's happiness is tied to the well-being of the community. For contemporary listeners, this resonates deeply in our fragmented society. Consider the rapid advancement of technology, which has transformed our interaction patterns. Social media can often foster divisions by amplifying misunderstandings. Yet Marcus's idea of our shared humanity can encourage us to engage in more compassionate discourse. It suggests that a meaningful approach to these platforms would be one rooted in understanding and kindness, rather than one that fuels conflict. Moreover, Marcus addresses the inevitability of suffering, which he views as a natural part of existence. He contends that the only thing we truly possess is our virtue, our capacity for reason and moral action. By understanding that suffering can serve as a tool for personal growth, we can approach life's hardships with resilience. When healthcare professionals, for instance, encounter difficult situations like terminal illness or end-of-life discussions, Marcus's reflections can serve as a source of strength. By reframing their perspectives on suffering, they may find greater clarity and comfort in their roles, realizing that their reactions can profoundly impact their patients' experiences. However, while Marcus Aurelius offers profound insights into personal ethics, there are notable criticisms of Stoic thought, particularly in its perceived limitations. Some critics argue that Stoicism can promote emotional detachment. They suggest that the Stoic emphasis on rational control could lead individuals to suppress their feelings rather than acknowledge and process them. For instance, in the context of modern psychology, emotional health requires a balance between rational understanding and emotional expression. Philosophers and psychologists alike have debated this tension. Expressions of emotional vulnerability, as seen in the work of later thinkers such as Friedrich Nietzsche, challenge the Stoic ideal that one must maintain a rational facade amidst adversity. In the evolving landscape of moral philosophy, one's thoughts naturally drift to connections with earlier and later figures. The Stoic philosophy that Marcus articulated shares roots with earlier thinkers like Socrates, whose quest for virtue and understanding echoed through the ages. Socrates emphasized the importance of knowing oneself, a line of inquiry that resonates through Marcus's writing. Conversely, one can see a connection to later figures such as Immanuel Kant. Kant's emphasis on duty and the categorical imperative seeks to establish a critical moral philosophy that requires individuals to act not just for their benefit or the greater good, but according to a rational ethical principle. Both thinkers share a commitment to reasoned ethics, albeit approached from different angles. As we reflect on Marcus Aurelius's contributions to moral philosophy, it becomes essential to contemplate the implications of his teachings in our own lives. One might consider how often they encounter moments filled with anxiety or conflict, and whether they can apply Marcus's lessons. When facing such challenges, ask yourself, how can the principles of rationality and reflecting on shared humanity shape my responses? Are there areas in which I might be avoiding the existential discomfort of suffering, rather than confronting it with courage and resilience? In engaging with these questions, you might start to see the richness of Marcus Aurelius's legacy. His insights not only shed light on ethical conduct, but also offer practical guidance for navigating the complexities of modern existence, encouraging us to remain composed, empathetic, and resilient amid life's inevitable challenges. By consciously integrating these Stoic principles into daily life, we can chart a course that reflects a deeper understanding of ourselves and those around us, perhaps finding a sense of peace and purpose as we navigate our own paths through this unpredictable world. As we transition further into Marcus Aurelius's thoughts on virtue and the nature of the self, we will explore other areas that shape the landscape of Western moral philosophy. His insistence on virtue as the only true good, and how this notion interacts with the challenges and ethical decisions we face today, continues to resonate, inviting us to consider our own values, choices, and the very essence of our humanity. Marcus Aurelius's exploration of virtue extends beyond mere intellectual reflection. It becomes a way of living that intertwines personal ethics with actions in the world. In the Meditations, he reflects on the idea that virtue is synonymous with moral goodness, asserting that it is the only true source of happiness. This notion sets up a significant ethical framework that challenges the common perceptions of success and achievement in society. Rather than glory, wealth, or pleasure, Marcus insists that the cultivation of virtues like wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance is paramount. Let's examine this idea further. A pivotal aspect of his virtue ethics is the emphasis on wisdom, which for Marcus means the ability to discern what is truly valuable in life. He believed that many people mistakenly prioritize external goods or superficial appearances, neglecting the internal wealth that comes from wisdom. When faced with the seduction of material success and societal approval, individuals today might find themselves at a crossroads. Here, Marcus Aurelius's reminder to focus on virtue serves as a grounding principle. In a time when advertising and social media often promote materialism, being rooted in virtue can help one navigate choices regarding career paths, lifestyle decisions, and personal relationships. Focusing rather on what aligns with one's core values and understanding of the good life. Justice, another key virtue for Marcus, is particularly relevant in the context of interpersonal relationships and societal structures. For him, justice is about treating others fairly and with respect, recognizing the inherent dignity in all human beings. His writings suggest that understanding our interconnectedness leads us not only to empathize with others, but also to act in ways that promote social harmony. This ethical perspective offers a robust framework for grappling with contemporary issues like social justice, equity, and human rights. As people engage in discourse about systemic inequalities, one could call upon Marcus's insights to underscore the importance of advocating for fairness and compassion in both personal interactions and larger societal movements. Justice, as Marcus envisioned it, fosters an environment where individuals work collaboratively toward the common good, rather than merely pursuing individual interests. Courage, the third virtue in his philosophical toolkit, speaks to the inner strength required to face life's uncertainties and challenges head-on. This doesn't refer merely to physical bravery, but rather the moral fortitude to uphold one's values in difficult situations. Today, as many grapple with ethical dilemmas at work, whether to speak out against misconduct, advocate for ethical technology use, or navigate relational conflicts, Marcus's notion of courage becomes vital. Embracing this Stoic courage invites individuals to confront uncomfortable truths and act in alignment with their ethical commitments. Thus, his teachings reverberate through modern discussions about integrity in various professions, promoting an ethical action plan that prioritizes truth and the well-being of others. While we can appreciate Marcus Aurelius's contributions, it is essential to consider criticisms that surround his virtue-oriented approach. Critics argue that Aurelius, and Stoicism more broadly, tend to undervalue the complexity of human emotions and social realities. By emphasizing rational control over feelings, some suggest that Stoicism risks encouraging a suppression of legitimate emotional experiences. This critique has been echoed by modern psychologists who advocate for emotional intelligence and resilience that include rather than exclude our feelings. In response, contemporary Stoics and scholars argue that a misinterpretation of Marcus leads to these critiques. They assert that Stoicism does not advocate for emotionless existence, but encourages a harmonious relationship with both reason and emotion. For instance, rather than suppressing anger, one is taught to understand its roots and react in a manner that is constructive rather than destructive. This is a process that eventually facilitates personal growth and resilience, allowing for a deeper, more authentic engagement with life. Engaging with the emotional dimensions of Marcus's thought leads us to consider his reflections on the self. He promotes the idea that the self is not an isolated entity, but rather exists in relation to others. In his view, attaining personal virtue coincides with contributing to the welfare of the community. This brings us back to a broader understanding of ethics, one that extends the reach of moral philosophy beyond the individual and into the fabric of society. In a world dominated by individualism and personal success stories, Marcus reminds us that true fulfillment arises from our relations with others. As we bridge the past to contemporary concerns, we can also draw lines to later thinkers who grappled with similar ideas about the self, morality, and community. The philosopher John Stuart Mill, for example, is often considered a transition from classical thought to modern ethical theories. Mill's utilitarianism revolves around the greatest happiness principle, providing a clear framework for assessing moral actions based on their consequences for the community. While differing from Marcus's virtue ethics, Mill's focus on well-being resonates with Marcus's call for empathy and justice. Their dialogues, albeit separated by centuries, enrich the landscape of moral thought, illustrating the ongoing quest to understand the intricate web of individual rights and collective responsibilities. In the realm of modern philosophical discourse, contemporary thinkers such as Martha Nussbaum have significantly engaged with Stoic principles, advocating for a return to virtue ethics. Nussbaum's work emphasizes the importance of emotions in ethical reasoning, arguing for an approach that recognizes the role of compassion and empathy in moral philosophy. This interplay between Marcus Aurelius's emphasis on virtue and Nussbaum's integration of emotional intelligence shows the evolution of Stoic ethics as it interacts with contemporary concerns. Inviting deeper reflection on these philosophical themes, one must consider how Marcus Aurelius's reflections might inform personal practices in a modern context. How many times do we find ourselves caught in the whirlwind of our choices, prioritizing fleeting pleasures or societal expectations over a commitment to personal integrity? Marcus's insistence that virtue is the path to true happiness challenges us to rethink our motivations and actions, particularly in moments that demand ethical decision-making. Practically speaking, individuals may benefit from adopting a daily practice reminiscent of Marcus's own. This could involve maintaining a journal where one reflects on daily choices, examining how actions align with personal values and virtues. What areas of life might need recalibrating to foster justice, courage, and wisdom? How might enhancing one's awareness improve interpersonal relationships? Moreover, engaging with public discourse through the lens of shared humanity drives home the point that we are stronger together. By embracing Marcus's vision of virtue, we empower ourselves to contribute to larger societal conversations about fairness, justice, and moral responsibility. In our personal lives, recognizing the interconnectedness that Marcus articulated can enrich our relationships, urging us to practice active listening and engage in empathy instead of judgment. To conclude, Marcus Aurelius serves as both a timeless philosophical beacon and a guide for navigating the complexities of personal ethics in today's world. His reflections on virtue, reason, community, and resilience offer a robust framework to act ethically amid life's uncertainties and challenges. They compel us to remain vigilant in our commitments, urging us to cultivate a life aligned with our deepest values. As we carry these teachings forward, let us invite reflection on how we can incorporate Stoic principles into our own lives. How can we harness these ideas to foster not only our moral selves, but also the fabric of our communities? Marcus Aurelius's legacy stands as a reminder, not only of his era, but of the continuous quest for virtue and understanding in our shared human experience. Continuing our exploration of Marcus Aurelius's philosophy, we encounter another remarkable theme that permeates his writings: the impermanence of life and the acceptance of mortality. This theme is not merely an acknowledgement of the fact that all beings will eventually die. It serves as a profound meditation on how such awareness informs our daily lives and ethical considerations. Marcus himself often reflects on death in the Meditations, prompting readers to confront their own mortality, not with fear, but with a clarity that encourages living authentically and meaningfully. For Marcus, recognizing our mortality is crucial to appreciating the present moment. He often reminds himself that life is fleeting and that time, once spent, can never be regained. This perspective urges us to consider how we invest our time and energy. In our modern context, where distractions abound, social media, consumer culture, the incessant push for productivity, Marcus's lessons become particularly relevant. When we acknowledge that life is temporary, we may find ourselves more inclined to prioritize what truly matters: relationships, personal growth, and a commitment to virtuous actions. For instance, how often do we allow ourselves to get caught up in trivial matters at work or in personal life, losing sight of what genuinely enriches our existence? Engaging with Marcus's understanding of impermanence invites us to realign our focus toward the values that nurture our core selves. Moreover, Marcus's thoughts on death compel us to embrace the idea of legacy. If we understand that our time is finite, we might begin to ask ourselves how we want to be remembered. This contemplation can shape ethical decisions, whether in nurturing relationships or engaging in community service. By consciously striving to leave a positive mark on the world, we honor not only our own values, but also the shared humanity that Marcus so passionately advocated. In a time where societal connections can feel tenuous, outlooks that promote lasting contributions become essential. Reflecting on how we want to define our time on this earth can create a framework from which we make decisions that resonate with our aspirations, values, and virtues. Equally significant in Marcus's thought is the notion of cosmopolitanism, the idea that all human beings belong to a single community governed by universal reason. He emphasizes that beyond our roles as citizens of Roman society or specific nations, we are all members of a broader human family, interconnected and interdependent. This philosophical standpoint provokes a reevaluation of how we engage with one another, especially across cultural and geographical boundaries. For example, in the current global landscape, where issues such as climate change, migration, and inequality confront us all, Marcus's cosmopolitan perspective urges us to cultivate a sense of responsibility toward our fellow human beings. By embracing cosmopolitanism, we can confront challenging issues not merely as national or regional problems, but as shared concerns that demand collective action. The COVID-19 pandemic illuminated the power of interconnectedness. The health and safety of one populace often directly affect another, transcending borders. Marcus's insights provide a lens for understanding that our moral responsibility does not stop with our immediate surroundings, but extends to ensuring the well-being of others globally. However, despite the eloquence and relevance of his ideas, criticisms of this cosmopolitan ethos have been raised over time. Some argue that such expansive notions may overlook the importance of cultural particularity and the unique challenges faced by local communities. Critics suggest that while it is noble to think of humanity as a whole, it may be more challenging to act upon this ideal without imposing external values on specific social contexts. To address this, contemporary scholars of ethics often propose that cosmopolitanism must incorporate a respect for cultural diversity, while still striving for shared moral concerns. Acknowledging the complex tapestry of cultural identities is essential in crafting a compassionate and just world, paving the way for Marcus's universal ideas to coalesce more harmoniously with local values. Another critical aspect of Marcus Aurelius's thought revolves around the balance of self-care and community responsibility. He advocates a life lived in service to others while recognizing the importance of one's own well-being. This duality is particularly significant in conversations about modern altruism and self-care practices. How do we ensure that our pursuit of virtue does not lead to neglecting our own needs? And how can we take care of ourselves while effectively contributing to the greater good? In today's fast-paced society, the concept of self-care has gained prominence. People increasingly recognize the necessity of mental and physical well-being as foundations for being effective contributors. Yet there remains a tension between self-interest and the welfare of others, with some arguing that prioritizing personal well-being might be inherently selfish. Marcus's writings suggest a middle ground, one that acknowledges the integral connection between self-care and capacity for altruism. By nurturing our inner lives and understanding our own needs, we become better equipped to contribute to society. This realignment allows one to be fully present and engaged when advocating for others, ensuring that one's actions stem from a place of genuine compassion rather than obligation. In exploring this duality, we can look at professionals in various fields: teachers, healthcare workers, social activists, who often face immense pressures as they strive to serve others. Marcus's philosophy could be particularly valuable here. It prompts such individuals to consider, how can cultivating inner strength and self-awareness enhance my capacity to serve the community? His reflections can inspire strategies that promote resilience and compassion, preserving both personal well-being and dedication to the collective needs of society. At the same time, a thorough examination of Marcus Aurelius's moral philosophy necessitates confronting the inherent paradoxes in Stoicism itself. For instance, some critics question the Stoic emphasis on emotional resilience, suggesting it risks fostering a sense of detachment that may make individuals less empathetic toward the suffering of others. Furthermore, a strict interpretation of Stoic teachings might lead some to dismiss or overlook the necessity of feeling emotions profoundly. Both the joy inherent in relationships and the sorrow of human experiences. Are emotions entirely threats to rationality, or can they coexist within a framework of ethical living as critical components of the human experience? Responding to such critiques, many contemporary philosophers argue that the wealth of emotional experiences cannot be undervalued in Stoicism. In fact, they form an integral part of our ethical decision-making processes. The current discourse encourages us to re-engage with emotions not as impediments to virtuous living, but as vital resources, tools of connection that foster understanding and emphasize our shared humanity. As we examine modern ethical dilemmas, recognizing that emotions play a crucial role in shaping our moral compass can deepen our engagement with Marcus's philosophy in a meaningful way. As we weave these threads of Marcus Aurelius's philosophy together, impermanence, cosmopolitanism, self-care, and the role of emotions, we find ourselves returning to the individual's place within the larger moral landscape. Each of these discussions speaks to a vital thread in the fabric of human existence, the inherent struggle to align internal beliefs and values with external actions and societal expectations. This exploration is not merely academic. It presents real-world implications as we navigate the complex terrain of our personal and collective lives. In closing, Marcus Aurelius's rich Stoic philosophy encourages us to cultivate a life grounded in virtue while confronting the profound realities of existence. The teachings around mortality prompt us to not merely endure our lives, but to embrace them fully, a call to action in how we prioritize our time and decisions. His cosmopolitan perspective challenges us to recognize our shared humanity, emphasizing the importance of empathy and collective responsibility. We are gently reminded that the balance of self-care and altruism is vital for fostering flourishing communities. Lastly, the interplay between emotions and rationality enhances our moral discussions, inviting us to engage fully with the breadth of the human experience. as we turn our reflections inwards, consider how these aspects of Marcus Aurelius's thought might influence your approach to your daily life. In what ways can recognizing the impermanence of life push you toward deeper connections and more meaningful choices? How might a cosmopolitan lens reshape your understanding of local and global issues and inspire action toward a more equitable society? Do the dialogues surrounding self-care and emotional engagement invigorate your perspective on leading a virtuous life while navigating the complexities of our world? Engaging with these questions can yield insights that resonate deeply within your own values, aspirations, and commitments, presenting Marcus Aurelius as not merely a historical figure, but as a relevant guide in our ongoing quest for understanding ourselves and our place within the collective human experience. His legacy continues to echo through the corridors of time, inviting reflection, action, and ultimately a more harmonious existence characterized by virtue, compassion, and resilience.
Midnight rails under silver moon, dusty boots on a winding road. A shadow's the only friend I've known since she packed up and let me go. Empty whiskey bottle on the sea, her laugh still echoes in my bones. Saddle's heavy with memories. I ride alone where the wind still blows. Nowhere else to be. 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 Sunrise paints the horizon gold, but it don't warm a lonesome soul. Every town I pass feels half her size. Every trail's haunted by goodbye. I whisper prayers to open skies, hoping someday my heart'll find a brand new path beyond the pain, where broken hearts can heal in time. Nowhere else to be. Nowhere else to be. Nowhere else to be. Nowhere else to be.